Hey folks, here's Phil Faso reporting not from the Living Dead Festival itself, but from my home on Long Island, New York, discussing day 3 of the Living Dead Fest. Day 3, I gotta be honest, was a little bit of a disappointment personally, and here's why. I've been to all sorts of cons, big, large, and everywhere in between. I've been to ones where several thousands of people were there. I've been to one where less than 100 people were there. So, I've run the gamut and the experience. By day 3, there was very little left for me to do. I'd seen some panels, I'd had some conversations with good people, gotten all my autographs. So the number one thing I wanted to do was get some interviews. I figured, hey, you know what? I've been building up for this for a month. There's people I'd definitely like to talk to, get their ideas on the whole Romero retrospective, as I call it. Because if you go and look at my interviews, probably 2/3 of the ones I've conducted involve Romero people. So, perfect place when it's all Romero people to get some interviews. Unfortunately, that wasn't quite the way it happened for a number of reasons. Number one, first and foremost, the panel discussions outside were very, very loud. So it was very hard to get any kind of good audio in there, because even on the opposite side of the tent from them, I could still hear what was going on. So that conversation out there was probably going to bleed into my audio. So it was a matter of trying to get it where people weren't talking. Plus, the panels ran a little on the long side, so it was also a matter of trying to get people when they were not on the panels, because if they're in the panels, it was going to be a while before I could get them. That's all logistical stuff, and that's, comes with the territory. The thing with going to conventions and asking for interviews is very simple, okay? People are either going to say yes, or they're going to say no. Either I'm going to get people I really want, who are interested in talking, and believe me, one good thing about this is I found that most people find that their own favorite subject to talk about is themselves. So that being the case, a lot of times I've gotten people that I wouldn't expect. Like Heather Langenkamp at Chiller last year. That was a surprise. I did not think I was going to get her at all. But I did. And then you have people who flat out just, for whatever reason, don't want to talk. They don't. How do I put this politely? I guess the best way is just to say it. What happened was I went up to somebody at the Living Dead Fest while there was actually a panel running, and I said, I'm a big fan of the work, blah, blah, blah. I write for this website, and basically, I'd like to interview you and ask you a few questions. And then I got the dreaded, sorry, I just don't do interviews. Okay, sure. No problem. At that point, I was waiting for Tassos Stavrakis to finish up his panel, and I was going to ask him for an interview. But the day was already getting long, the weekend was getting long, and really I was milling around doing not much. So, I took it upon myself just to abandon the idea of getting interviews. And again, it's not like I won't see most of these people down the line. I already see Tassos Stavrakis listed at several other conventions, so getting him probably won't be a problem if he's willing to talk. I understand that Kyra Schoen still does, not a huge number like she used to. But certainly I'd like to talk to her at some point, and you beg them where you can get them. If people are willing to talk, which they normally are. I mean, I have about a 75%, probably more, probably like 80% success rate, so can't really get down on myself or on other people. Look, it's never anybody's absolute guaranteed penalty, if you want to put it, the punishment to have to talk to me. I always think it's a nice idea. It gives the fans a voice, because mostly I post them as audio. So, things happen. And the Living Dead Fest had quieted down by then, or maybe a couple dozen people, a few dozen people. So, it was time for me to head out of glorious Evans City, back to my own glories on Long Island, which was a trip in of itself. I would, however, like to mention two things, okay, before I get to that. Regarding travel, I finally found out what a orange belt was. I thought that orange belts specifically were the specific domain of karate. Get to a certain level, get a colored belt. However, apparently Pennsylvania set up a long time ago an now antiquated system of belts where there are 4 different colors: blue, orange, yellow, and I don't remember. I think it was green belts is the other one. Most of which correspond to karate belts, by the way. But getting back to the topic, they're snow evacuation routes, or I guess any kind of evacuation route, natural disaster or whatever. So I learned that. So it was a learning experience. Also, I saw something listed that I thought originally was named after a WWF wrestler, Hakushi. Not quite, it was Halushki, which apparently is a cabbage and noodle mix that is a Polish deal, popular in the Pittsburgh area. When we were out during day 2, when I was at the Monroeville Mall, and I asked the guy Jeff about it, he said, yeah, it's great, try it. And I got back the next day, but I didn't manage to eat while I was there, so I didn't get to try the halushki. Maybe next time, noodles and cabbage, I'm not exactly sure is my thing, but hey, you only live once, right? The other thing is, it's nothing worse in the world than being told by my GPS that I will be getting home at 9:45, and then there's an hour and a half of traffic on the George Washington Bridge, and an accident on the Cross Bronx, which is 4 miles of hell on earth, the Cross Bronx. Nothing worse than finding out that, hey, you know what, it'll actually be more like 11:45 you're getting home. But hey, what are you going to do? At least the Volkswagen rental was a comfortable drive, smooth and all that, and able to do high speeds. God bless. Alright, so those are basically my reflections on the Living Dead Festival. A different experience this time around because it wasn't just Romero people. I shouldn't say that. It wasn't just people from Night of the Living Dead. It had expanded beyond that. Obviously, with Romero, when you've got a couple hundred people in Edco Park, it's a little bit different, and I hope that Gary did well. I'd like to thank Jim Serenella for coordinating talent. He did a nice job of getting a nice spread of people there. I'd also like to thank Terry Callan, who did some excellent artwork for the Living Dead Fest. I did manage to squeeze out an interview with him, which I should be posting up within the next few days, hopefully. We'll get that going, because he's a very nice guy and a very talented artist. I'd like to thank, of course, Gary and for getting this all together, and George Romero for being George Romero. I mean, what else? Being a legend, being an excellent editor, writer, director, and being a big part of the inspiration for Death Ensemble. I'd also like to thank the Super 8 Motel in Coriopolis, which has Wi-Fi. Not a bad deal. And even if I didn't take advantage of your quote-unquote continental breakfast, I did enjoy my stay there. And I did enjoy trying some new things, including stopping for a gallon of coffee, which I don't drink normally, on the way home at Perkins, which is a big favorite of Dom and, Dom's anyway. And I did get good table service there, because like I said in the last blog, poor table service is a sin, and when it happens to you, I feel sorry for you. As a former server and now restaurant manager, working at bringing the best of food and making it an excellent experience, whether it's the smallest diner or a 5-star restaurant, always important. But hey, this isn't about food, it's about the Living Dead Fest. I look forward, hopefully, to a 47th? This is the 46th anniversary of night. 47th year? Yeah, let's try for next year, Gary. See what we can get going, because obviously the Living Dead Fest is taking a broad new direction. Bigger talent, bigger stars. You got Romero there. And it was, all in all, a nice little experience, and certainly a nice vacation to take after a year of work managing restaurants without one. So, alright, folks, that's it. Keep coming to deathensemble.com. Here, DEATHENSEMBLE.com. And check us out for good new stuff. Bringing you fresh perspectives on horror and making it meaningful. Alright. Hell awaits you here, folks. Enjoy. Be cool.